All right. So sorry about that, everyone. Had some technical difficulties back to back. But here we are using a better program. Shout out to Stream Elements. And yeah, so we're just gonna take it from the top as far as the question that, or the last question that we did. And so basically, again, we're going through chapter 9, and it talked about the 5 levels of self talk. And the fifth level of self talk was a little bit interesting, and we wanted to get some more clarification on it. And so what we were saying was it seemed more ethereal, more like the essence of what you want in your life. And so yeah, um,
Yeah. Okay. Where we at? So we were talking of where was the place where we left off? I think it was a little bit more down than that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So yeah, right here.
Okay. So we were talking about I am one, the oneness, um, and the truth. Refresh my memory. We were picked up where we left off, bro.
Yeah. So basically, we were saying like how it's like basically saying like the life to me is a place of joy, serenity, peace, and healthy well-being. So it seemed like almost like the aspects of like life versus like I am X, Y, or Z. It was more like more ethereal almost. Like life is uplifting and fulfilling in my body, spirit, and mind. So it's kind of like the it's not so much like the literal and how it kind of like says how it's more poetic. It's a little bit more like third person esque, it seems.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I was talking about before it dropped on the last stream. I was talking about like as a man thinketh, so you had to kind of like portray yourself already in that place uh when you're referring to like I am healthy, I am, whatever your I am is, I am full of peace, I am, full of joy, I am healthy, I am, in that well-being state of mind, to that life, that lifts you up. It's an uplifting and a fulfilling,
Mm. Yeah, I like that uplifting and fulfilling. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go deeper. So instead of the strong recommendation throughout the source material, is to focus on level 5. Okay. Um,
Yeah, it's just talking about addressing like practical everyday goals such as getting to work on time, improving family relationships, developing a desired self-image, getting basic life matters in order. And again, that all stems back from putting all these things into play, and like we talked about last time, and it's just running together. And the subconscious mind, is putting these steps, these habits, in place so that they can serve you, and it comes back to that self-talk again, just inspiring yourself, motivating affirmations. And that's what I was talking about before we dropped is how you share about your affirmations.
got you. Yeah. And right here it says like it's a perspective or state of being that may develop as you work on yourself using the more practical levels of self-talk. So it's like how your body feels almost, and like yeah, it's all about self-talk. It's all about like you know like what you were just saying, like a man thinketh, like it's all about that type of stuff. So
Right.
then I asked like what's the difference between level 4 and level 5, the I am, which is level 4. And so um it says the primary difference lies in their focus and application. Level 4 is considered the most effective kind of self-talk for personal change and achievement. It's about painting a fully completed new picture of yourself, the way that you want to be, and programming this new self-image into your subconscious mind. Okay. Oh,
Interesting.
so level 4 is overriding, whereas level 5 is it is. So it takes a much broader, more universal perspective. Um, transcending specific personal goals or problems. While described as life affirming and beautiful, it's not presented as the tool for tackling immediate, tangible personal challenges in the way level 4 is. And level 5 statements often refers to a connection with broader life qualities or higher power. So it seems like level 5 is not so much like a reframe, it's more of a like my life is this, you know, and like it's not like I am now. It's like this is what my life is, you know?
Right. Well, it's just oneness, embracing,
Mhm.
and yeah. But again, when it comes down to the self-talk, it's, putting yourself in a better frame of mind, So all the steps go hand in hand, um, you know, to get to this outcome of that oneness.
Mhm. Mhm. So, I know this might be a little bit outside of this chapter, but what does auto suggestion play a part in all of this? Because I know it talks about auto suggestion.
Right.
So, just because we're not covering it inherently, I'm gonna say what is auto suggestion and um and what does it play. So just in case this chapter doesn't really talk about it, but this book does talk about auto suggestion.
Right.
So again, just for the viewers. So auto suggestion is mentioned specifically in connection with so it's writing affirmations and reading them to oneself repeatedly. So 3 times in the morning. Um so yeah, the self-write method. So there's different layers of auto suggestion. At least what the video says. And the self-write method is basically like writing down I am statements and then saying it out loud. Um so I have this month, or I've made this or I have this month made 8 or X amount of dollars through the service that I have rendered. Interesting. What sounds weird. Um, what part of auto suggestion plays in all of this? Um, so overall concepts of programming and reprogramming the subconscious mind using self-talk to influence behavior. Yeah. So the sources discuss 5 main methods of using self-talk. Silent self-talk, self-talk or self-speak, self-conversation, self-write, and tape talk. And so this is straight from the YouTube video. So self-talk or silent self-talk is what you say in your mind about yourself. Self-speak is what you say to others about yourself. So I in the podcast or in our recorded podcasts, I talk a lot about like not allowing yourself to say bad things about yourself to others, and that is in complete reference to that. Like
Right.
that is self-talk, that is you talking about yourself. So self-speak, self-conversation. I forgot what exactly that is, and it doesn't make it any easier for me. All of it is highlighted, but I believe self-conversation is like what you say to yourself whenever you're thinking to yourself. So it's different than
Right.
like what you think about. It's more so like as you're having like a conversation with yourself, what do you say? Self write is like writing down I am statements. That is a self write. And then tape talk, which he says is the most powerful, is you write down I am statements and then you read them out loud and then you play them to yourself all day long or as much as you can. So it's almost like you're listening to yourself reprogram your own subconscious mind, and it's very very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. Interesting.
Specific application within the software method. All right. The role of auto suggestion in this context is to serve a structured way to deliver specific, carefully worded directions and programming to the subconscious mind. So yeah, auto suggestion is pretty much just like it's almost like what affirmations are, right? It's a suggestion to your subconscious. Like it's as you say, like I am healthy, I am happy, and I am successful. You're suggesting to your subconscious mind that you are those things, and you're doing it autonomously, or you should be, or you could at some level once you get used to it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's good stuff, bro. That's a good side note from, again, for the buildup of your self-talk, these are all tools and tips, to help you to strengthen that support and help you, along the journey.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's do what are key takeaways? So, what are some key takeaways from chapter 9, and how can someone apply them if they're trying to better themselves?
Good stuff. And we'll have that answer shortly in about 10 seconds. There we
Yeah.
are.
All right, so it kind of just goes back into the 5 levels. I like how it mentions the conscious versus unconscious programming. Much
Right.
of our self talk is unconscious, and if we don't consciously choose our self talk, we are allowing past programming from ourselves and others to dictate our reality and prevent desired changes. Desired changes.
Yeah.
Um.
Very true.
Okay. Yeah.
Nothing's gonna fly. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. There we go. So become aware of your current self talk. The first step is to listen to the words you habitually use, both internally when speaking about yourself to others. And when speaking about yourself to others. So again, what do you say internally about yourself, and what do you say externally about yourself?
Right.
Pay attention
Right.
to negative phrases or those that recognize problems without offering solutions. Identify negative programming. Recognize that negative self-talk often stems from past programming, absorbed from others, or repeated by yourself. Understanding that these words are directing your subconscious mind to align with that negative description.
Mm,
So basically, if you've ever heard someone, or if someone has put you down before, and you kind of like perpetuate that thing that someone said about you, so if it's like, oh well, you can't do that, you're too slow, you know, then whenever you're like in a competition, you're like, hey, I can't do that, I'm too slow. That is you repeating that negative self programming.
right. And that's the self-talk. We have to ensure that, we're instructing a positive, influence.
Yeah. Okay, so consciously choose new words, make a decision to stop using level 1 and level 2. So level 1 is like I can't, and then level 2 is I shouldn't. Or
I need to.
yeah, I need to. Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, so stop saying I need to and I can't. Replace them with self-talk from level 3 and 4. So I am, or I can, or I no longer, or I will, or kind of like directing yourself in a more positive light.
Right.
Using
It's
level
better.
3 for decisions and boundaries. Ooh, interesting. When you decide to stop an old habit or behavior, frame it using level 3. I no longer, or I never. This instructs your subconscious to move past the old way.
Yeah, very good. And it takes time, so be patient, give yourself that room, but as you the more and more you practice it, the more you'll be aware of it, and you'll catch yourself, when it does happen, and that's how you're going to get stronger, guys. So just, keep applying these tips and these tricks, um, to help you along the way. It's just, it's like a muscle, right? You have to exercise it, you have to put in the work, put in the reps.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been doing this now for at least a year and a half, and yeah, it's gotten a lot more, it's gotten simpler, and also I don't really notice me doing it anymore. Like I used to have to tell myself like, okay, now you have to say this, or now, like I was almost instructing myself to do these things, but now like the counter suggestion, or like the counter intention, as Kevin Trudeau would call it, whenever you say like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm successful, the three mantras or the three affirmations that I say, whenever you're getting, or whenever you start doing this, you won't believe it at first, or maybe you will, but let's say you don't believe it, your mind will almost want to give you the negative, or the opposite. Like, if you don't believe that you are smart, or if you are happy, or you are successful, your mind will almost say like, no, I'm not that, right? It's kind
Right.
of like fighting that. And so that, because that's the last thing that you said about yourself, the no, I'm not. Well, then you kind of cancel out whatever positive affirmation that you just said. And so, really getting used to just like overriding and almost like forcing that negative talk out of you.
Right. Well, and I think that kind of goes right there to point number five, embracing level four, but, to build your desire of that self image that you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, create I am statements that vividly describe this future self as already existing. This
Right.
acts as your new programming for your subconscious. Yeah, definitely. And like, so for example, well, I've told myself, and I'm not the greatest at this right now, but I tell myself like, I am getting things done, and I am completing things. That way, whenever I do actually complete those things, I'm like, oh, look at that, I am completing things,
Right.
And so again, it's just kind of like the faith of what it will be before it actually happens.
Right. Which again, that's the practice, it helps, and instills the the strength, that you're putting in, which leads us to that next point, right? We engage in active self-talk, and the methods. And right there it breaks it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this can be done through silent self talk, speaking aloud, self speak conversations with yourself, writing it down, or listening to recordings of your self talk. And yeah, that is like the biggest thing. And I'm kind of guilty of not doing this too often, but really, and it does really pay off. The couple times I have done it. So again, what this is you write out five, I mean, whatever number, but let's just say five. You write out five affirmations, five I am statements, record yourself reading them out loud, and then replay that recording throughout the day.
Mm,
Because then you're talking to yourself, and you're listening to yourself like music, right? So, as you listen to music throughout the day, you'll eventually learn the words of a song. Maybe not every word perfectly, but the more you play a song, the more you'll know like, oh yeah, that word is coming up. Oh yeah, that word is coming up. And I personally kind of like cheat on this because like what I do instead is I listen to audiobooks over and over and over and over again. That way I kind of know the content of the audiobook instead of having myself tell myself what I am. And
Right.
so yeah, just find what works for you. I know deep down in my heart, like I this is something that is very, very, very powerful and that, that I will and I am going to do very soon.
Yeah, and well, that's the key right there. Repetition is the key. I'm like that too. So, like, when I hear something, I'm like, "Ooh," I highlight that, and I'll lock that in, and I'm like, "All right, cool." And when it goes to, I don't play it over and over and over because, like, sometimes for me, just me, it can become like old, stagnant,
Mm-hmm.
so I like to keep things fresh and stuff like that. So what I'll do, like if I read a book or I read something, a lot of times I'll go back, maybe a month, couple months later,
Mm-hmm.
and again, when I find something, it's like, all right, cool. But the key point there is the repetition. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep on keeping on and keep on pushing through. So again, the self-talk, let it be positive. When you catch yourself be negative, catch yourself. Don't chastise yourself or anything, but just recognize it. And it's like, okay, cool, maybe I can just change it. Instead of it being this, I can say something more positive. So it's just a reframing. Focus, which takes us to our next point. It's just like focusing on the practical, so the application of it. What I mean, this talks about attaining uh you know for your goals and stuff like that. But again, I think it's just a practical application of everything that you're learning and the tools that you're using.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to kind of highlight what you just said right there before we go on. So what Henry just said is very powerful because he was saying to just catch yourself. So there's two parts of it of everything, right? Or there's multiple parts or there's multiple steps. And the step one is just realizing whenever you say something negative. So for me, it took me a while whenever I was starting to do all of this stuff because I didn't want to accept that I was, you know, a good person. At one point, I didn't even want to accept that I was a good person. And so whenever someone would say like, "Oh, you're a good person," or "I really appreciate you doing this," I would always kind of like fight them immediately. I wouldn't even listen to it because I'm like, it's positive. Nah, I'm good. And so
Hmm.
what I did whenever I was starting to change my mind was I was like, okay, don't chastise yourself, don't put yourself down. Listen to whenever you're about to say something bad about yourself, and then even if you do say something bad about yourself, at least put like a little tag. Like, okay, that's my little flag. I put a flag in the ground. I'm about to say something negative about myself, and then boom, you say something negative about yourself. But again, it's all about catching yourself, and meditation is very similar. It's not completely about like having no thoughts. It's all about knowing that you are thinking, or keeping track of the fact that you are thinking, and then eventually you'll start to be like, okay, well, I've been thinking and thinking, or I've been talking negatively. I've said this, I said that, and then once you have a habit of pointing it out or calling yourself out on it, then you're conscious of it. Then you can be like, okay, if you do want to improve, then you're like, okay, I've said three negative things about myself today. Let me try to say one positive thing, right? But yeah, that's where we go into the focusing on practical and attainable goals first, almost to build your like momentum, right?
Right.
So, simple things to improve self-image. It could be simple things, right? Like, we talked about in a previous episode. You know, not drinking a soda in a day or reducing one soda per week or whatever the case may be. Like, small achievable things like I drink soda less, or I don't drink soda anymore, right? Or I am not a soda drinker, right? The three different levels, or three different levels within that. But like, you know, one less soda a day is still a positive change.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing, it's just it's discipline. Like we say, it's just you start to exercise that muscle and it just becomes second nature, so after a while you're not even trying anymore. You just naturally catch it,
Yeah.
and it begins to serve you, so that's the focus on the practical side. Is don't try to be a perfectionist about it. Just when you catch yourself, and we do it all the time, like you can just be thinking of something and it's like, oh, that was so dumb of me, but
Mm-hmm.
don't say that, try to catch yourself like, well, that time you caught me slipping, right? That's how I look at things. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, that was dumb. Why did I do that? And then I catch myself, and instead of, getting on myself, I'm like, all right, well, I just, I need to catch myself better on the next time,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so, it's like, okay, cool. So it's just a reframing. It takes time, guys. You know what I mean? Like it really does. But we do encourage, read these books, read.
Yeah.
Like we said, you can hear audiobooks and stuff, but a lot of times that stuff just kind of like it's passive or in the background, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not really tuned in. Like when I want to tune in, I actually put in my earbuds
Mm-hmm.
and I listen, on headphones and stuff like that, because then you're not distracted by all the side noises and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's another tool that I recommend, just like sometimes, when I listen to podcasts, that's how I listen, or I'm in the car. So like undivided attention, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. But, um, you know, let's keep it going, bro. Let's
Yeah,
keep going
yeah,
to the next one.
definitely. One more thing about that. So the reframing is a big thing, right? So a big part of not talking bad about myself is I've rephrased words that I would put myself down for, or with rather. So I don't call myself stupid anymore. Whatever I say, or if I'm going to say stupid, I'll say silly. I'm being so silly right now, or that was really silly of me, right? It's like it nerves it, right? I'm not putting myself down like, oh, I'm so silly, instead of like, oh, I'm so stupid. Like those
Right.
two words carry such different energies. And or I'll be like, oh, I'm a goofy goober. I'll say that like if I make a mistake, or like, oh, I goofed up, or instead of being like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I goofed up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once you catch it, like it becomes easier. Like you say, you've been at it for a while. You know, so it takes time, guys.
Oh yeah, that
That's
definitely
the
took
point.
pretty much a year and a half.
Yeah, no,
So
for sure.
yeah. All right, so we yeah, okay, we're almost done with that, and then we'll show off our little slideshow. So,
Yeah.
be specific and comprehensive. So when creating self-talk, especially for level 4, be specific about the changes you want, and don't use vague phrases. Paint a detailed picture. So yeah, uh talk about that for a little bit, and while I pull up specific examples of what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So again, when you're painting uh like a detailed picture, be specific uh in what it is you want, the outcome to be. Ensure that your self-talk, is creating a new mental environment for you, so again, it's easy to just revert back to the old ways of doing things, because your subconscious mind, the operating system that you're working from right now, if it's not serving you, this is kind of what we're talking about, is helping you to create that new program, so to speak. So it's being persistent. I'm going to just continue on to number 9.
Yeah.
Being persistent, and changing your old programming. It takes time, but with consistent effort, it can be accomplished. Don't get yourself discouraged, if you fail. just keep going, and just recognize, use that your the muscle and the development that, with the tools and the tips that you're learning. um you know Keep going, don't get discouraged. You won't see the results immediately, but as long as you keep practicing daily, with the new self-talk, encouraging yourself, motivating yourself, eventually you'll become, a different person, different outcome, and the programming would just feel more natural. You'll start to see the results.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, my philosophy is, it's like your mind is like ground, right? So the seeds that you plant in it, you have to till the groundwork, right, before you can plant seeds. So if you're always holding anger, bitterness, any of these negative things, it makes it hard for you to grow plants of happiness and joy, because it contradicts what you're actually holding inside. So like you have to get that old programming out, so that way the new seeds can take place and generate, new outcomes for you. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but be persistent, be patient with yourself, and don't get discouraged, because it trust me, the results will come.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll cover this and then I'll give off the list real quick.
Okay,
After
go
that,
for it, bro.
well, so
Yeah.
after we so it says don't rely on positive thinking alone. Positive thinking or wanting to change is often not enough because it doesn't provide the subconscious mind with specific, consistent directions and needs. So yeah, just being like, oh, I love life. Life is amazing. You know, that will take you only so far. It's not. It's until, or it's not until you really like program yourself with, saying stuff like this, right? I am driven, and I believe in myself and my capabilities. I am in control of my life. I am eager to take the next step to improve. I am taking advantage of my time and opportunities now. I am successful. I am ready to take on the challenge of today. I am a winner. I am going for it. Nothing can stop me. I am capable to get past any obstacle, right? So if you tell yourself that every day, you're going to believe those things. Uh, you know, a month from now, 3 months from now, however long it takes to really reprogram your mind.
Right. No, I agree, bro. And again, it just comes back to that simple statement: as a man thinketh, so is he. So it's these these tips, these tricks, these affirmations, all these things, they're all ways to help you to just be the better version of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. So we're gonna give a little shout out to our community or our mastermind that we're gonna be hosting this Saturday. So basically, every Saturday we're going to try to have a mastermind for everyone to join, just like this session that you're watching right now. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you to a page. That way you can sign up for it. And so what we do, on top of everything, we have a podcast that now has 10 videos in it, or 10 plus videos, or 10 plus episodes rather. We also have a community that we're trying to make. That way, people who entrepreneurs that don't feel like that they have a community to express themselves, they have a place to be. And also, it's a accountability group as well as a 7-day action plan. So if you have problems trying to find the next steps to make or whatever, if you want to help build momentum with your life or learn what your next steps are, we also include all of that. And yeah, um, today we were breaking down what to say when you talk to yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And take it away, Henry, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, no, definitely, you guys, scan the QR code, go check out, the link, and check out everything we got inside there. Like we said, this is a new thing that we're starting. So it's at the ground floor right now, so this is the time for you guys to jump in. We just, our whole mission of this thing is just to help people to get to the next level. Um, you know, a lot of things happen in life, and you know we get setbacks, but it's only a setback for the comeback, right? So our thing is to the name of Back to Brilliance is to get you to a place, maybe you were once were, or you haven't been, and we want to help you guys to get there. And not just us, but the community, join the community together. Then we, iron sharpens iron. So it's a, you know we just want to have this community for a place where you can, get built up, and also that you contribute, so it's not just a take community, but it's a give community. So, and everybody's blessed through it. So, yeah, check it out, scan the QR code, we also have our podcast. So go check out our podcast. It's the same thing, Back to Brilliance podcast. We stream it everywhere. Um, it's on all streaming platforms. You could check it out here at our YouTube channel as well. So we're doing a lot of things. We're going to continue to, keep pushing this. So it's all about community. I think that there's a lot of people out there that don't have a community, and that's what we're opening the doors for. So you have a place to come and be inspired, be motivated, and to accomplish your dreams and your goals.
Well said. So yeah, with that, we're gonna end. Just again, we're gonna try to make this more often, and again, every Saturday, we're gonna invite people in the community to hop on and brainstorm with us, much like what we're doing right here. They can either suggest a book if they want to, or they can help suggest questions dive into, and provide any insight or questions or whatever. Be a part of it.
Yeah, but that's what the community is about, right? It's not just us. We're just, we're leading it, but the whole thing is we want to help you guys as well. So yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, for checking this out, and again, put the QR code up one more time, bro. That way, you guys can just go check this out, so go ahead and scan that QR code. And I guess with that, this concludes this stream. So thank you again for tuning in with us and checking us out. We appreciate you.
Have a good one.
All right. Peace.